A man steps on the scale after 3 brutal weeks of dieting, expecting to finally see the fat melt away. Instead, a body composition scan delivers a gut punch. He's lost more muscle than fat. His waistline barely moved, but his strength did. This isn't a rare freak outcome. It's happening to people right now, today, who are doing everything they believe is right, cutting calories, running for hours, sweating through workouts, and still ending up softer, weaker, and no closer to the body they wanted. So why does belly fat show up first and leave last, even though every trainer will tell you that you can't spot reduce fat? Does cardio or weightlifting actually burn more fat? Does training on an empty stomach really work? Or is that just internet folklore? In this video, we're pulling apart exactly how fat loss functions inside your body. The real biology, not the gym bro mythology. So you can build a plan that burns fat instead of quietly eating away at the muscle you worked so hard to build. Let's start with the basic mechanism, because almost nobody actually understands what's happening when they diet. When you eat less than you burn or move more than you eat, your body suddenly has an energy shortfall to cover. It responds by sending chemical signals to your fat cells, essentially telling them, release some of that stored energy, we need it now. The fat breaks down at a molecular level, enters your bloodstream, and travels to wherever your body needs fuel. Your muscles, your brain, your organs. Here's the part almost nobody tells you. To meaningfully tap into those fat stores, you actually have to push your body past a certain threshold of exertion. Fat burning accelerates specifically when you're tired, when you're breathless, when you're pushing through real physical discomfort. If you stop the moment it gets uncomfortable, which is exactly what most people do, your body simply reverts to storing the next meal you eat instead of continuing to burn. This is why so many people can run for months at an easy, comfortable pace and see almost nothing change. They're stopping right at the edge of where the real fat-burning process begins. And here's a detail that tends to blow people's minds the first time they hear it. Burned fat doesn't just vanish or get used up in some abstract sense. It physically leaves your body, mostly as carbon dioxide through your lungs when you exhale, and partly as water through sweat and urine. Every heavy, breathless exhale during a hard workout is, quite literally, fat leaving your body through your breath. It's one of the most oddly satisfying facts in exercise physiology once you actually understand it. But there's a catch, and it's the catch that quietly sabotages most people's progress. Under the wrong conditions, your body doesn't burn fat at all, it burns muscle instead. We'll come back to exactly why that happens and how to prevent it. But first, let's answer one of the most common frustrations people have with fat loss. Why does belly fat seem to have a mind of its own? Why belly fat resists first and leaves last? You've probably heard the phrase, you can't spot reduce fat 100 times. And it's true, but that doesn't explain why belly fat specifically seems to be the last thing to go, no matter how disciplined you are. The answer isn't random, and it isn't really about willpower at all. It comes down to genetics, blood flow, and hormone receptor sensitivity. Fat storage and release patterns are largely inherited. For most men, fat tends to accumulate in the belly first and disappear from there last. For many women, it's the hips, thighs, and lower belly that hang on the longest. The belly region specifically has comparatively low blood flow, which limits how efficiently fat-burning hormone signals can even reach the fat cells stored there in the first place. But the real key is something most people have never even heard of, a receptor imbalance. Fat cells in your belly carry a higher concentration of what are called alpha-2 receptors relative to beta-2 receptors. Think of these receptors as gatekeepers standing at the vault door of your fat cells. When fat-burning hormones arrive and essentially knock on the door asking for energy, beta-2 receptors respond quickly. They open up and release fuel without much resistance. Alpha-2 receptors, on the other hand, are stubborn. They resist that signal and keep the vault locked, holding on to that energy just in case. Belly fat has disproportionately more of these stubborn alpha-2 gatekeepers, which is exactly why it's biologically primed to be the last fat to release, no matter how hard you train. This also explains why doing endless AB workouts doesn't directly melt belly fat. When you train your abs, you're strengthening the muscle layer underneath the fat, which is genuinely useful for posture, core strength, and eventually revealing definition. But it does nothing to preferentially target the fat sitting on top of it. Your body draws fat systemically from wherever it's biologically easiest to access first, not from wherever you're currently exercising. Cardio versus weights. What actually burns more fat? This is one of the most argued about questions in fitness, and the honest answer is that both matter, just in very different ways at very different times. During a cardio session, your body reaches first for glucose, stored carbohydrates, and blood sugar, because that fuel source is fast and immediately available. Fat, by contrast, takes longer to break down and requires significantly more oxygen to metabolize, which your body simply doesn't have the bandwidth for during high-intensity effort. So in the moment, during an intense cardio session, you're burning mostly carbs, not fat. But that doesn't mean cardio isn't burning fat. It means the fat burning happens afterward. Once you finish a cardio session, your glucose levels drop noticeably, and your body shifts into what's often called the afterburn effect, or more formally, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. In this recovery window, your body aggressively burns fat to restore its internal balance. Even while you're sitting on the couch showering or lying in bed asleep that night. Weightlifting operates on a completely different principle. Its primary role in fat loss isn't direct fat burning during the workout. It's protecting your muscle from being broken down for fuel while you're in a calorie deficit. When you keep your muscles actively working under load, your body registers them as valuable and worth preserving. Neglect strength training entirely, and your body starts to see that muscle tissue as expendable, metabolically expensive real estate it doesn't need to maintain. That's precisely why combining cardio and resistance training in the right balance is the difference between losing fat and keeping a lean, defined shape versus simply losing weight and ending up smaller but softer. Should you train on an empty stomach? Fasted training has become something of a trend, and there's real physiology behind why it can work, but also real limits on when it actually helps. When you exercise first thing in the morning without eating, your insulin levels are low, your blood sugar is low, and your glycogen stores are already partially depleted from the overnight fast. That combination pushes your body to reach directly for fat as fuel more readily than it would after a meal. But, and this is the part most fasted training advocates leave out, this only holds true for low to moderate intensity exercise. The moment you push into high intensity intervals or heavy weightlifting while fasted, you risk flipping the switch the wrong way. Your body, lacking readily available fuel, may start pulling from muscle tissue or aggressively spiking cortisol instead of efficiently burning fat. You'll also likely feel weak, underpowered, and in some cases genuinely lightheaded. So fasted training isn't a universal hack. It's a tool that works specifically for lighter intensity sessions. If you're planning something intense, a small, easily digestible snack, beforehand is the smarter move. Sweat is not a fat-burning scoreboard. A quick myth to clear up: sweating more does not mean you're burning more fat. Sweat is simply your body's cooling mechanism. As your muscles generate heat during exercise, your body releases sweat to regulate your internal temperature. The number that drops on the scale after a sweaty session is water weight, plain and simple, and it returns the moment you rehydrate. If you've ever felt triumphant after a sauna suit workout only to see the scale bounce right back up the next morning. This is exactly why. Why crash diets quietly destroy your muscle. Here's one of the most damaging mistakes people make when they try to lose fat without understanding any of this. They cut calories dramatically, expecting fast results, and initially they get them. The scale drops fast. But underneath that number, something concerning is happening. Under severe caloric stress, your body frequently burns muscle instead of fat because muscle tissue is metabolically expensive to maintain, while fat is cheap, stable, long-term stored energy your body is biologically wired to protect. If strength training isn't part of the picture, this problem compounds even further. Your body has no active signal telling it that muscle is still needed, so it treats it as expendable. This is the core reason so many extreme diets leave people lighter on the scale, but softer, weaker, and less defined in the mirror. They didn't lose fat, they lost muscle and water, while their actual fat stores were protected the entire time. The breathing detail almost nobody uses. Here's a detail that sounds almost too simple to matter, but genuinely changes fat burning efficiency. Breathing technique. Fat burning is, at its core, a process of oxidation. Your body literally needs oxygen to convert stored fat into usable energy. If your breathing during exercise is shallow, rushed, or inefficient, your body's ability to burn fat efficiently drops measurably. For the best results during cardio, follow 3 simple rules. First, breathe through your nose rather than your mouth whenever possible. Nasal breathing filters and regulates airflow more efficiently. Second, breathe with your belly, not your chest. Shallow chest breathing limits how much oxygen you're actually taking in. Third, keep your breaths slow and deep rather than fast and shallow, and make a point of exhaling forcefully. Your body needs to clear out carbon dioxide efficiently to make room for fresh oxygen. And that forceful exhale is doing real metabolic work, not just venting air. Building your weekly fat loss plan. Now that you understand the actual mechanics, is a structured weekly plan designed to maximize fat loss while protecting your muscle. Start your week with a high-intensity cardio session on Monday, sprint intervals, aggressive cycling, or hill runs. Begin with a 10-minute steady warm-up, then move into 6 to 8 rounds of 1-minute sprints, each followed by a 90-second walk or slow jog for recovery. This combination rapidly drains glycogen and forces your body into deep fat-burning mode. Tuesday is a full-body strength training day, roughly 45 to 60 minutes, built around heavy compound movements, squats, deadlifts, rows, presses. Immediately afterward, take a 20-minute slow walk. Because your glycogen is already depleted from lifting, this walk pushes your body directly into fat-burning mode, using oxygen and stored fat as the primary fuel source. Wednesday is steady-state cardio, cycling, jogging, or a brisk treadmill walk for 45 to 60 minutes. Start at a normal, comfortable pace, but in the final 15 to 20 minutes, slow the pace without stopping completely, even as fatigue sets in. That final stretch is where a significant portion of the fat burning actually happens. Thursday is active recovery, not about burning calories, but about restoring blood flow and oxygenation. A light walk or an easy bike ride with relaxed, natural breathing lets your body reset without added stress. Friday brings another strength session, this time focused on either upper or lower body depending on your split, followed by 20 to 25 minutes of light cardio. Saturday is your longest cardio session of the week, 60 to 75 minutes of jogging, cycling, or brisk walking. The key is the final stretch. In the last 30 minutes, even as your pace naturally slows, that's when the majority of fat oxidation occurs. Stick to steady movement and controlled breathing through that window. Sunday is rest. Full rest, or if you feel like moving, a gentle 15 to 20 minute walk, focused purely on recovery and mental clarity, no pushing, no goals, just light movement if your body wants it. Nutrition, fundamentals that double your results. Getting the exercise structure right only gets you halfway there. Nutrition is where most people either double their results or completely cancel out their effort. Prioritize protein at every meal to protect muscle tissue and support a higher resting metabolism. Increase your fiber intake, which helps reduce cravings and supports healthy digestion. Stay in a consistent caloric deficit, since that's what forces your body to rely on fat as a primary fuel source in the first place. Drink 3 to 4 liters of water daily to support every metabolic process involved in fat breakdown. And here's a non-negotiable: minimize sugar and processed food as much as possible. A single indulgent binge can realistically offset 2 full days of otherwise clean, disciplined effort, which is why consistency matters more than any single perfect day. Finally, prioritize 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night, without exception. Without adequate sleep, fat loss becomes dramatically harder, regardless of how well structured your training and diet are. The low-effort alternative for people who are busy or simply not chasing fast results. If the structured plan above feels too intense for your current lifestyle, there's a lower-effort alternative that works, just more slowly, through habit change rather than intensity. This approach runs on 3 simple phases. First, move lightly throughout the day. 10 to 15 minutes of walking after meals, taking phone calls while walking instead of sitting, doing chores like cleaning or light gardening, and consistently choosing stairs over elevators. None of these individually feel like exercise, but together they keep your metabolism quietly active all day long. Second, eat smartly, eat slowly, taking at least 15 to 20 minutes per meal, and stop eating around 80% full rather than stuffed. Make sure protein appears in every meal, and where possible, swap refined carbohydrates for whole grains. Third, sleep deeply. Prioritize a full night of restful sleep in a room that's cool, dark, and free of distractions. This approach takes longer to show dramatic results than the structured plan, but it does something the intense plan often doesn't. It rewires your daily habits at a fundamental level, and once those habits shift permanently, you're far less likely to slide back into the patterns that caused the problem in the first place. Whether you choose the aggressive weekly structure or the slower habit-based approach, the underlying biology is the same. Understand how your body actually decides between burning fat and burning muscle, and you stop wasting months of effort working against your own physiology instead of with it.